even though the AI and the bots and all that is getting better and better and better, our patients, our clients, they want to speak to someone. I think the community at large is saying, you know what, I'm kind of tired with all the automation and I would like a little bit of a personal touch back. So I think it's a little bit of a conundrum we have ourselves in. We want to reduce costs. We want to be efficient. We want to leverage technology. And I truly believe we should, but at what point is it a detriment and not cost effective as well? So I think it's a problem.
Everyone, I'm so excited for today's episode, but before we get to that, we've got to go to our Ask Ken segment. A great question came in, and we'll talk just for a minute about this. So the question is this: my accountant says my numbers are fine, but why do I still feel broke? Let me tell you about what the answer is to this. Fine usually means you're tax compliant. Fine does not mean that you're figuring out how to maximize the cash flow in your business and in your practice. Taxes and cash flow can actually compete with each other a little bit, especially at year end if you haven't been reserving money for taxes and those sorts of things. But the real thing here is that you can have clean books, but be flying totally blind. And if you don't know your true margins and if you don't understand your cash flow, this is going to create a challenge for you over time. The key thing here is you want to be able to put a cash flow forecast in place so that you can see out. Maybe it's 4 weeks, maybe it's 8 weeks, maybe it's 12 weeks, maybe it's 13 weeks. If you can forecast your cash flow to that level, what happens is all of this nervousness about what's happening to my cash, it all goes away. And the reason why is because we can see 3 months out and we know if there's a small hiccup, we've got plenty of time to solve that payroll that we need to make or whatever else it is. So, all right, that's probably enough about the Ask Ken question. Super thrilled to have our guest with us. We've got Dallin obviously here as kind of co-pilot with me, and really excited to introduce JW Oliver to our podcast. And JW, we're going to turn this over to you. Tell us a little bit about you and what you want to talk about today.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. Dallin, fun to be here. That was a good question. I think that's so true. You know, an accountant, a CPA can tell you you're compliant, but there's much more to operating a business than just that. People, you're doing great. Well, no, I'm not. I don't have any money in the bank. So, yeah, very, very, very true. Yeah, I think. Well, I come from a dental background. I've been in the dental business. I actually have to say now 40 years. So when I went, oh no, that was a long time after it was 1986. And I thought, I know I was only 2, but I'm working up to be better at it at a young age. Oh, and since 2017, I've had a company called SupportDDS, SimWorks. Started off as a ministry project where we were just going to employ a few team members, help them get jobs. Ken, early going, when you were one of our early clients way back when, and it was kind of a labor of love. All right, we're going to do this while I'm still doing my other business. And here we are really 8 years later, pretty much started in 2018 full bore. And now we've got a little over 1,700 team members supporting over 3,000 dental practices, 80 or so DSOs, and we're continuing to scale. We're now in 4 countries and we're continuing to grow each and every year. So a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, but yeah, so I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk about what we see as some of the problems in the industry and maybe how we can solve them as well.
Yeah, outstanding. All right. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about what do you think is not working in dentistry that we need to shine a light on here today?
Yeah, I think to me, it centers around the labor issue / AI replacement. Everybody loves to, I think the 2 words last year I kept hearing over and over and over was culture and AI. Everybody talked about you got to get your culture better, and everybody else was talking about AI. I kid you not. I think everybody at these events just took their backboards, took their booths, and they just slapped AI on there somewhere, and they were like, now we're AI. I think it was mostly workflow, but anyway. But what you saw was in the dental practices, in the dental business, as you know, labor can be anywhere between 25 and say 35% of your overall expenses, right? Typically higher with the individual practices. And so as you look at that, the first thing you want to try to cut is let's reduce our labor cost. And granted, I think you can do that. There's places that you may have a little fluff, you might be able to be a little more efficient, and you can use technology to increase in that workflow. But I think what we're seeing today is even a revert back to saying, you know what, even though the AI and the bots and all that is getting better and better and better, our patients, our our clients, they want to speak to someone. And so we're seeing a little bit of a movement back to people saying, I would like for you to answer our phones full time. I would like for you to be able to handle our overflow calls, et cetera. So what I see has been a labor issue has really turned in an opportunity to be more efficient, but I think also be more personal. We've gone from this convenience based connection, as they call it, to kind of a presence based connection where convenience is sending a text or I drop you an email. That presence based is I'm going to call you on the phone, I'm going to send you a video maybe, or I'm going to handwrite you a card. And so I think the community at large is saying, you know what, I'm kind of tired with all the automation and I would like a little bit of a personal touch back. So I think it's a little bit of a conundrum we have ourselves in. We want to reduce costs, we want to be efficient, we want to leverage technology, and I truly believe we should, but at what point is it a detriment and not cost effective as well? So I think it's a problem.
Good point.
Yeah, I think that's super interesting. I have done demos for several of the voice AI products that exist in the space, and specifically for many of the dental focused ones. So I was talking to someone from one of those companies the other day, and they shared an interesting insight for me. They said in most of the dental practices that they've rolled their software out to, even though they have this fully capable, like end-to-end solution where a patient can call into the practice and an AI agent is going to answer and talk to them. And the agent is capable of answering questions. They can schedule appointments. Like there's so much stuff they can do. The person at this company said 90% of the time, within the first 30 seconds of the conversation, the person's jamming the button saying, I want to talk to a person. I want to talk to a person. I want to talk to a person. And I think it'll be interesting to see how that trend continues to develop. But it's just a point to what you were talking about, JW, which is that in lots of communities, in lots of places, we see people still looking for and almost hungry for that personal touch. They want to talk to a real living person when they're interacting with a company.
I think you could take it a step further and just look at it in your own personal lives, right? You have a friend, I know in my contacts, I've got lots of friends, their birthdays pop up, right? And hey, it's Ken Kaufman's birthday today. And I better text Ken, hey, happy birthday, Ken. That didn't take me a lot of effort, right? That was actually pretty easy. But if I'll grab my phone, if I grab my phone and I do me a little quick video. Hey, Ken, man, hadn't seen you forever. Happy birthday. Hope you have an amazing day. And I send that. There's a difference in the person on the receiving end knowing the effort that I put into that, right? And I think when you're going to go spend, throw a number out there, $700 probably at a minimum. But if you're talking about all on fours or something and you're going to be spending $40,000, $50,000, you want to speak to somebody and you would like them to have empathy and some compassion. And people will say, oh yeah, well, the bots are getting good and they're going to do that. There is points where that's not a person, right? I am not speaking to a person. And so this desire for people to want that human touch, and I've really been caught up in this convenience kind of versus presence-based connections. It's like, I here in my drawer, Dallin may not even know what this is, but I keep some stamps, I've got stamps and I keep a whole drawer of cards. Occasionally I'll think of somebody and say, you know what, I'm just going to write them a card. Tell them, man, hey Ken, I hadn't thought of, just want to see if everything's going all good. Hope you're having great. God bless you. Drop it in the mail, put a stamp on it. Do you know the effort it took me to do that versus the text is like 10x. But in the overall scope, it took me maybe 2 minutes, right? To look up the address, write it down. And that's kind of getting off track a little bit, but it just goes to show you that I think people are, because I know if I get a card handwritten from somebody and I can tell somebody really put a stamp on it, I'm like, wow, man, that's really cool. They sent me this card, because you don't see it anymore. Ken, I know you remember when we used to get those all the time, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it was kind of an interesting way. So I think the whole labor issue is something that obviously, if these big groups or even a big practice can tweak their labor 1 or 2, 3%, those can be massive numbers, right? That put onto the bottom line can be tremendous. But I think you have to determine at what cost is there to do that. Maybe there's just a more efficient way to do it than automation as well.
Interesting. So a follow-up to that, there seems to be a shortage of labor in dental practices, whether it's hard to get associates, it's hard to find assistants, it's hard to get hygienists. How do you sort of merge? Because those are things that require the human. That
Yep.
there has to be a human touch there. Somebody's got to be there to do that. How do you think about, especially where you guys are, providing all kinds of assistance via virtual workers and on-site workers and everything else? Like, what are you seeing as the trends there? Is this going to get, are costs going to get realigned at some point, or is this just the new norm?
Yeah, I do think it's kind of like, well, how expensive can toilet paper get, right? Or how expensive can eggs really go? And at some point, you're like, I'm not paying $7 for a gallon of milk, right? I mean, at what point do people balk at those costs? And I think that's what a lot of dental practices are doing. They're going, I can't afford a hygienist that is asking me for 3 times what I used to pay. And so you're seeing even a lot of at least single practice offices who the dentist is doing his own hygiene, right? He's like, well, I'll do it for that kind of money. And so you're seeing some of those trends. I believe what most practices need to do is they need to more align their production people, their dentists, and also their hygienist into a performance model, right? And some kind of a cost-effective performance model that's based on profitability or production, et cetera. But where you can lower your cost is, people get stuck on things. It's not uncommon for us to say, man, I could really use you on the front desk. We're so slammed. But, Susie, she's been with me for 31 years and she says she can do it all. Well, she probably can't, right? She probably wants to, but she probably can't. So you're caught into this thing where Susie's trying to do a good job of taking care of the patient, maybe collecting the money, maybe presenting a treatment plan, and also answer the phone. So I think there are things like obviously the simple task, what we call direct first impression, answering those incoming calls, new patient calls are existing. I believe even treatment coordinators presenting plans can be done remotely. And then obviously everything like accounting and marketing and lead gen and all that should be done remotely and not in your office, whether that's onshore or offshore. I think you have to look at that. But yeah, unfortunately, the dentist and the hygienist are not going away, at least
Yeah,
yet.
that's right.
So if I was to summarize, if I was a dental practice, whether a single location or a DSO, looking at my P&L and saying, man, that staff cost is just high. Your suggestion, JW, would be to take a look at that staff cost, break it down, ask myself, what is most critical, like that just has to happen in the office. Like this must be a warm body in a chair on site interacting with the patient. And let's keep that in place. And let's do everything we can to enable that person. And then anything that I can take out of the office to try to centralize, make less expensive, outsource, whatever it looks like, anything that I can take out of that physical location, I want to.
Yeah. We always have people go through a simple process. Many times it's the practice owner or maybe the regional manager just saying, hey, we're gonna have you do this to split up this. You're not doing this. I always say get the buy-in. I love this: evaluate, eliminate, and delegate. I think go to the person at the front office and say, hey, make a list of everything you do on a weekly basis, answering the phone, collecting, recall, recare, rescheduling appointments. Make a list of all those things. And then say, all right, now go back and tell me what items you really don't enjoy doing. It's probably recare. Most people don't want me making phone calls out, man. And then make a list of everything that can be done remotely, right? And then sit down and say, okay, what's left here are things that have to be done in the office, like you say, collecting payments, greeting the patient, maybe showing them, people. I know some offices that do a little office tour. Let me show you around our office. Love to show you before you get settled in. Then they could focus their time on doing that real effective, right? And I think it's not only about reducing the cost. I mean, that's important, but it's about doing those other tasks that you currently do better, right? What are those things that you could just do better? And probably doing hygiene recare calls, probably following up on patient appointments, doing treatment plan follow-up, things like that, unscheduled treatment. That doesn't need to be done in the office, right? That definitely can be done remotely. So that makes not only does it make you probably cost effective, but it definitely makes you more efficient, which probably raises your ROI as well.
Yeah. One thing that I'm thinking about here, JW, is I've heard throughout my career that when you're looking at making some type of a change with your people, you should have them do a time study. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's, I don't know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe it's a month, where they actually just keep track of what they do every day and how much time they spend on those tasks. It could be a very effective way, especially if you feel like maybe one of these positions has gotten a little out of control, or maybe, it's been the same for a year or 2 or 3. And you think, hey, maybe we want to shake this up and just make sure that everything's, one, above board, but two, we're being efficient with the resources of the practice and the ability to talk, to work with the patients. That really struck me. I don't think we do enough time studies in dental. I think we just whip it out, throw it together. Let's go. This is how it works everywhere. But those time studies can really make a big difference.
Well, to give an example of that, you probably do this too, but I don't do it on purpose, but occasionally the amount of screen time I had today or yesterday or something on my phone, I'm like, there's no way I was on my phone 3 hours and 10 minutes. That's not possible. Oh, and then you look at it and you're like, so you don't realize how much time you're spending on something until it's evaluated. And you're 100% right. Probably doing some sort of a 1 to 2 week study on just how much time you're spent and say, hey, Ken, I really need to know what you do 40 hours a week. Could you just break it down by all your tasks and get me pretty close? You'd probably be surprised at how much time each area takes and how much time may be wasted on things you shouldn't be doing, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because the whole world of like division of labor is about trying to put people in the position where they can function at their highest level and contribute at that highest level. In a dental practice, I think sometimes we take that for granted, and a week goes by, a month goes by, a year goes by, and you're like, wow, I don't know what's going on anymore. Things have changed so dramatically, and there's been so much drift relative to that.
But what's the end result of this? The end result after 6 months, 8 months, or a year, the girl at the front desk, the guy at the front desk, they quit.
Yeah.
Because they're like, unbelievable. This is total chaos here. And then the owner, the doctor, the regional manager, whatever, is going, why do we have so much turnover in that front office? We're getting, and it's typically like 53% in most dental offices front, the front desk. You go, why in the world are these people quitting? It's like, they don't have any SOPs. They're not focused on what they need to be doing. They know they're answer the phone. Oh, pick up this. Oh, take Miss Smith back to chair 2. It's chaos. And I think they've not done the time studies. They've not done the evaluations. So now you end up with this high attrition, and it kind of becomes a puppy mill up there, right? And it's not healthy for the practice.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of what we've been talking about, this idea of the time study and try to figure out exactly what is going on up at that front office. Because I think it would be very easy for many companies to say like, oh, you're having high turnover at the front desk, just slap some outsourced labor onto there, or slap our new voice AI platform onto there. Like there are lots of companies that would try to make a sell directly from that, when what's probably best for the office is to start asking questions.
Yeah.
Say, okay, well, what are the responsibilities? What's taking the most amount of time? What's the source of frustration? If you can get good data, good feedback on that, then you can start to make better decisions as far as, okay, well, maybe we should outsource someone, and maybe for right now, they just need to be doing recare calls. Like that's the pain point for the front desk. So let's start with just that, take it off of their plate, and then maybe we could evaluate other things later. But being smart about it, being thoughtful about it, is definitely the right approach.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but there's probably you're right. A lot of people say, or just hire more people. Wow, we need another person at the front desk. They're overwhelmed. Let's just get somebody else in there. And you're like,
Yep.
all right, well, you just dropped $60,000 to have a full-time person at the front desk with benefits and everything else. So you're right. I think sometimes you got to step back. I tweaked it a little bit. It was a little different, but I've been using this acronym of evaluate, eliminate, evaluate what you're doing, eliminate what you shouldn't be doing, and then delegate. And then you can really focus on what you need to be doing. And I think everybody needs to do that, even as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as directors, managers, leaders. We need to every day, like, okay, evaluate what I need to do today. Let me eliminate some of this stuff that I really should never be doing, and then delegate some things that take some time, and then get focused in. And I think it's just something we don't do. We just, like you say, we throw a technology at it. And right now, big groups are spending a lot of time evaluating their tech stacks to determine, why do we have all this stuff, right? Wait a minute.
Yep.
We've got $199 a month one here, and $349 over here, and $229 over here, and we don't even know what we're using. It's it's a conundrum for sure.
Outstanding. All right. Well, as we come to getting close to wrapping up the episode, JW, any other thoughts or key takeaways that you'd love for the audience to be able to engage with?
Yeah. Look, I think the podcasts like this are real good. I think that you get singular focus. Sometimes I listen to podcasts and I'm like, what are they even talking about? They've talked about 10 different subjects and they've gone on for an hour, right? I've just wasted a good hour of my life. So I love the fact that it's very dedicated to 20 minutes or so, and you really get honed in on a process, because I think it's interesting because so many groups, practices are looking for the magic button, magic pill, the unicorn, the whatever. And sometimes it's just focusing on these simple things like, all right, let's look at my labor costs. Let's do a time study on my front desk. Let's just get that one figured out. And so, yeah, I think just taking it little pieces at a time is super important. So job well done by y'all to get this focused.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I like that idea of just go to the front desk first, and then go to the next one. And the key thing is to just stay consistent with it. And before you know it, you'll have a time study done on everything going on in your office, and all of a sudden efficiency is going to start to rise to the top.
I tell you what, you know Dallas Morris, probably Dallas at SGA. You should get Dallas on here. He's actually done a bunch of time studies in his office and in his offices. He's with a big group. He would be great to get on here and talk about. I'd love to be on. I'll get on there with him. I'd love to hear about it, because he's done time studies, and he's gone to the docs and said, look, your only thing you have is your time. And look, you wasted 27 minutes here and 32 minutes here, and let's get you out of things you shouldn't do. So I think time studies at the front desk, but even at the doctor level, can be really important.
Outstanding. Dallin, any final thoughts?
Nope. I love it. Thank you very much for coming on, JW. Thanks for your insights. You've got a lot of deep industry experience that we've benefited from tremendously today.
Well, thank you. It's a lot of fun. Love getting it going. Love to see young people jumping in here and learning as well. So well done on that too, Dallin. Thanks, Ken. I appreciate it.
You bet. All right. That's it for today's episode of the Dental Truth Project. Thanks again to JW for sharing all of your great insights and thoughts and 40 years of experience. It's amazing. If you enjoyed the episode,
old, Ken, be careful. Makes you sound really old. They 40 years.
Well, the thing is, I'm right on your heels. That's the truth of it. So if anybody's justified me, anyways.
That's right.
So anyways, if you enjoyed the episode, be sure to follow and subscribe. I'm Ken Kaufman, and until next time, keep seeking the truth that helps dentistry thrive. Happy day.